So it's 7 o'clock, and I would like to welcome everyone and welcome our viewing audience to the Bristol Township Planning Commission meeting for December 15th, 2021. We do have a few things on our agenda tonight, and we would ask that anyone, unless they are actually speaking, if they could wear their masks due to some of the more recent outbreak of COVID. We also would like to take a moment tonight to say that our illustrious leader, John Greer, is excused for tonight. He's not here, and we are going to miss him greatly, considering that we do have a packed agenda for tonight. So the first thing I'm going to do is Commission. You all have the November 17th Planning Commission meetings. I'd like to entertain a motion to accept those.
I'll make the motion to accept the November 17th Planning Commission meeting agenda, minutes, excuse me.
A second?
I'll second.
It's been moved in second. All in favor? Aye.
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 So moved. The first thing on our agenda tonight is land development. Alexander Prozoroff, I hope I'm speaking that correctly, 508 Red Cone Street, Feasterville, PA, requesting preliminary and final land development approval to construct a warehouse with accessory office and storage for a contracting use on the property located at 601 State Road, Croydon, PA, tax parcel number 5-11-70 in the C Commercial Zone District of Bristol Township. Do we have someone representing?
Yes. Good evening. My name is Larry Byrne. I'm a civil engineer and prepared the plan that we're reviewing tonight. Alex Provorov, the owner and applicant.
Okay.
So,
Just want to make sure two things. Number one, if you have a business card, if you could turn it in at the desk over here when you. Okay, you can wait till you're done. And the second thing, please speak into the microphone.
Okay, now you got it? All right,
Thank you.
okay. All right, well, good evening. Like I said, my name is Larry Byrne, a professional civil engineer, prepared the plan. What we have tonight is a land development to construct a 2,000 square foot building for Alex's business. He's a heating and air conditioning contractor. The project's been through a couple of plan revisions already. The brief history, the job obtained some zoning variances last year for dimensional issues. We subsequently then prepared a land development plan that was submitted to the township in June. It was reviewed by the township engineer. Some additional zoning issues were came to light, so we had to go revise the plan and submit it for zoning variances. We then obtained all the necessary zoning variances from the Bristol Township Zoning Hearing Board, and we revised the plan and submitted the land development plans, and we received a review letter from Gilmore and Associates dated December 6th is what we're here tonight to discuss.
Sure. If I can, do you have a PowerPoint that you're showing?
I didn't have a PowerPoint. I just brought a PDF of a plan. Unfortunately, here's the plan. Here's the building. It's 2,000 square feet. For I guess he can't rotate it for whatever reason. I was just gonna, but we had the plan here, consisting of, like I said, the building. There's parking along 2nd Avenue, and this is State Road right here. So I believe you all have copies of the plan anyway that was submitted. And I can maybe walk over here and go from this side. This is the plan, the site plan that was.
Can you grab that mic or grab this board right here?
Oh, we need a microphone. Okay. Well, I'll just try to keep it very brief here. Here's the building, here's the parking. We did obtain all the necessary zoning variances, primarily just dimensional variances, and also variance for parking.
And Larry, you have our review letter, and you've requested the waivers, and are you in
Yes.
agreement to be in compliance with the review letter and with the inclusion of the waivers being requested?
Yes, as I was just going to say here, we received a letter, everything is a will comply in the letter, we're not going to, there's no issues there. There's a list of waivers. There was a list of waivers that are indicated on the plan, and there's also a list of waivers letter that was provided to the township. Do you need copies of that letter, or do you have it? It should have been submitted.
We have that.
You have it? Okay, so I'm not going to really get into all the waivers. We just really would request that the Planning Commission would recommend the plan for preliminary final approval, conditioned on granting the waivers as well as the conditions in the Gilmore letter.
Do we have any questions from any members of the commission? Any questions from our engineer? Okay. Do we have any questions from the viewing audience that's here tonight? None said. With that, I'll ask for a motion.
I'll make a motion to recommend to council the land development, of Alexander Prozorov? Sorry. At 508 Red Cone Street, Feasterville, PA, requesting preliminary and final land development approval to construct a warehouse with accessory office and storage for a contracting use on the property located at 601 State Road, Croydon, PA, tax parcel number 5-11-70 in a C commercial zone district of Bristol Township, continued from November 17th, 2021. Condition upon addressing all comments and in the review letter and further recommendations to grant the waivers as outlined in the Gilmore and Associates letter.
Okay, all right.
I'll second.
Second, all those in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Yvonne.
And don't forget to hand in your card if you didn't already. Next on tonight's agenda, we have Jeffrey Simmons, 776 North 23rd Street, Philadelphia, PA, requesting preliminary land development approval to construct a commercial kitchen addition, Phase 1, and a restaurant addition, Phase 2, on the property located at 810-812 Bristol Pike, Croydon, tax parcel number 5-008-147, known as the Dog and Bull Brew and Music House in a C commercial zone district of Bristol Township. Do we have anyone here tonight representing the applicant?
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Thomas Fender. I'm the attorney for the corporation that is bringing the proposals here. Mr. Simmons is here with to answer all your questions and do a demonstration for you, just by way of introduction. The gist of this is that we'll call it the bar, the Dog and Bull, is been historically developing, and Mr. McDonald is here, is one of the owners there. The problem with the building is that it's so skinny. It's difficult to do anything without violating a code or requesting a waiver for certain things. Mr. McDonald has been there for almost 12, 13 years and has developed a good reputation with the township. He has no citations, no noise citations, keeps the place clean. We were here for parking variances last time with the zoning board, and that was granted. There's two phases to this development. Phase 1 is building a kitchen, a bigger kitchen on top of what is already there, and having some more storage. The idea is that once the kitchen is built, then they can do the expansion of the dining room area and expand that, because we couldn't do one without the other. So at the last hearing, we were discussing, the steps of it. We do anticipate it would be around 6, 8, 10 weeks for development in the kitchen and finally get that done. We can do that, hoping all goes well, that we could start that sometime in March, get that done, and phase into the second part by closing out where Amtrak has granted us an easement to do certain things. But Mr. McDonald, through COVID, has expanded his outdoor property quite a bit, and it's had a good water test with the neighborhood, and it hasn't had any problems, and things seem to be okay. So we're just replacing the tents and the poles with mortar and making it a little more permanent, I guess would be it. So we're here to seek those things, and Mr. Simmons can come up and explain it to you. Thank you.
Sure. By any chance, do you have a presentation PowerPoint? Yes. Okay, perfect, because we do have a viewing audience, and they do like to be able to see what we are referencing. Also, too, please don't forget to hand your card in so that we
I did,
have.
yes, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I've just distributed physical copies of the presentation I'm going to make.
Sure.
Here. So I guess I'll run through this quickly. This is the
Please.
first slide here, representing the overhead context of the site. The site is bounded to the north here by Route 13, bounded to the south here by a abandoned right-of-way, which is controlled by Amtrak. I have 3 photographs in here showing the current conditions of the site. Here's a view from Route 13 at the front of the property. The property represents the building here, the building here, as well as the third building here. The first phase, the kitchen addition, would be situated here at this building on top as an overbuild. And yeah, good. So here's the first phase site plan. You can see on this left-hand side here, here's the overbuild of the kitchen, as well as some cold storage for the kitchen. This slide here represents the second phase, which is the dining addition, which is basically now consuming the outdoor seating area as it currently exists. Thank you. I've got a elevation here of the front of the property proposed. Second story kitchen addition here. These 2 buildings here are existing, and then the 2-story focal piece of the dining addition. Same view from the rear. Kitchen existing, 2-story, and the dining addition in the rear. Here's an elevation view from the outdoor area here, and 2 cross sections representing the volumes of the proposed spaces. Here's a 3-dimensional view, a rendering of the proposed building and addition. Another view from 13. Finally, a third view from 13. And my final slide is a material board of the proposed finishes for the work.
I have a question. In regards to the Pannoni letter dated on November 30th, 2021, they have some review comments such as the depth of the parking space, proposed signs in accordance with PennDOT, as well as pavement parking. Is that a will comply?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
yes. The dimensional requirements are something that I could add to the drawing to indicate the depth of the proposed parking spot.
Perfect.
The signage would be additional details that would be included in the series.
All right, perfect, thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question. Will you be in compliance of the Gilmore letter dated December 3rd with everything except the waiver request, obviously?
Correct, yes, those comments will be included, absolutely. I was in agreement with the letter, and the review is both complete and fair.
Nice. Okay, thank you.
Any further questions from the commission? Any questions from engineer or the township?
I have no questions at this time.
Have any questions or comments from any members of the audience? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion. To recommend to council the approval of preliminary and final land development to construct a commercial kitchen addition Phase 1 and a restaurant addition Phase 2 on the property located at 810, 812 Bristol Pike, Croydon, tax parcel 5-008-147. With you being in compliance of the Gilmore and Associates letter dated December 3rd. And with all the waivers, I'd recommend that they're granted.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that motion.
A motion and a second. All those in favor, aye.
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 Thank you. Thank you. Would you like a card? Sure. A business card?
All right, next on our agenda tonight will be a subdivision. And it's Gallagher Realty, 43 Arabian Way, Holland, PA, requesting preliminary subdivision approval to construct 14 single-family dwellings on the property located at Magnolia and Woodland Avenues, Croydon. Tax parcels number 5-008-144-001 and 5-008-596 in R3 Residential Zone District of Bristol County. Gentlemen, I would ask if you have a card, the same thing, if you could pass that over to the desk, and if you have a PowerPoint presentation.
We do.
Or something, if you could also give the drive so our viewing audience at home could see.
Good evening. I'm Alan Toadvine from the law firm of Begley, Carlin, and Mandio, here tonight representing the applicant. First thing I would ask is that we would request preliminary and final plan approval this evening based on the fact that we will comply with all the requirements of the Gilmore and Associate letter dated December 7th, 2021, along with requesting approximately 9 waivers. Let me just give you an overview. The site's comprised of 2 tax parcels totaling approximately 8.5 acres of gross site area. Obviously, we will agree to consolidate those 2 tax parcels into one as part of the subdivision process. Property is zoned R3, 5,000 square foot minimum lots. With the exception of Lot 1, the remaining 13 lots are in excess of 6,500 square feet in size. We're proposing 14 single-family detached dwellings, anticipating a product of approximately 2,300 plus square feet in size. The actual footprints for the buildings will be approximately 1,450 square feet in size. And we are requesting 9 waivers in connection with the proposal. At this point, I would turn it over to our engineer, Mr. Fioravanti, and he can go through the PowerPoint presentation and explain the project. Mr. Fioravanti?
Thank you. Good evening. You wouldn't happen to have an extra laser pointer at the board, would you? Okay, let me proceed from here. Looking at the first slide and the same exhibit that's mounted before you, you can see a rendered version of the exhibit that we presented. The actual site itself extends to the right. If you look at the upper right, there's a long rectangular addition to the site that's 1,500 feet long and about 80 foot in width. That just will remain wooded open space. Typically, the drainage patterns, if we start from that, the site itself is well suited for development. Woodland Avenue is the street that runs across horizontally across the bottom of the screen. And maybe I can approach, do you have a mic or? Testing. Oh, now it's working. Okay, so this is the same exhibit that's up there. And I'll look here to show you the overall drainage patterns of the site. Okay, this is the Gis Topographic Map. It comes from the county, and you can see the site here demarked with the stars. It's probably the third exhibit. There it is. That shows the site and its different tax parcel numbers. On the left, you can see the exhibit, the parcel that contains the floodplain and the drainage feature that goes through the property. On the right, in the center, where the word site is written, that's the area that will be developed. And here's the long rectangular piece that I was referring to that extends all the way to the next road over. So what you see from this exhibit is the overall drainage patterns of the site, essentially from east to west into this swale, this tributary to the Neshaminy Creek. So that's essentially how the drainage patterns flow from the right on the exhibit to the left, intercepted by this tributary, and down to the Neshaminy. Across on the other side of the railroad tracks, you can see a large floodplain area, and it's my guess that over the years when Conrail crossed, they didn't have enough space in their waterway, which caused the floodplain to widen over the years. And that's why I think it's wider on that side than on this side. But as you can see, the most important feature here is the drainage that runs across the western part of the site. And I'll flip back. This is an enlarged view of the rendered exhibit. It's easier for you to see here. In terms of utilities, as I said, the site's well suited for development. The lots are uniform in size, in excess of the minimum required. And we would be starting with the construction of the Woodland Avenue and the Paper Street, and also reconstructing Euclid Avenue. Right now it does exist and it is paved, but it's more like a driveway that the two lots are using. So we're going to completely mill that and repave it and rebuild Euclid Avenue, and then connect it with Road A to be named. And Road A would be in a 40-foot right-of-way. We have it proposed with 24-foot cartway, no curbing, and then we've been in discussion with the township engineer that we're going to bring that to 26 feet in compliance with township standards and add curbing to the side. So that'll be a brand new road. It'll be in great shape, and then we're going to have it landscaped. We do have it offered for dedication. If the township doesn't decide to accept it, then we'll keep it as a private road, and there will be a homeowners association of these homes that would then own and maintain the street. So right now, as it stands, it's offered for dedication, and as I said, if it's not accepted, it'll become a private road that the association will own. The association will also own, either way, whether the road's accepted or not, will own the open space, as they typically do, and will maintain swales and stormwater basins and all the improvements. As you can see from the site plan, it will be heavily landscaped, a mix of evergreen and deciduous trees to buffer the railroad from the rear, and also street trees and red maples and nice flowering trees along the road on both sides. In terms of utilities, the sewer is very easy. Magnolia Ave has public sewer, so we'll be extending a sewer up Woodland Avenue, across Road A, and tying all the dwellings in by gravity. So it's well suited for sewer connections. It's very easy. Up Woodland, across Road A, and all the new homes will be tying in. Similar situation with water exists on Magnolia. So we'll be taking the water main up Woodland Avenue again, across Road A. We have a couple of fire hydrants here, make sure everything is safe, and there'll all be water connections to all the different dwellings. Storm sewer, what we're going to do with storm sewer, as I started to say, the overall drainage patterns here are from the east to the west. If you remember, here's the swale that comes under the railroad tracks, and it goes through the open space in the floodplain area. And so what we're going to do is we're going to maintain that same drainage pattern from east to west, right to left on your screen. You can see it here with the light swales. So the dwellings will be elevated. The swales will drain to drains in the back. They'll be tied into the swale that goes between the houses in two spots, and then tied into the swale in the front, which then crosses Woodland Avenue into the basin and into the stream that exits the property. So there will be no water at all from the site to the dwellings behind it. Also, even when you look at the peak flow rates and its stormwater detention basin we have here, even the flow into that stream post-development from our controls will be much less than it is today. So even from the 2-year storm, the 5-year storm, the 10-year storm, there's almost zero discharge from this basin. It has good perk rates, and it's designed to handle those storms and perk the flow back into the ground. So we will be reducing the flow that leaves the property. When you get to the higher storms, of course, there will be some discharge through the basin, but when we get to the 100-year storm, we're still 75% less than what we're required to be. So we're doing a good job of managing the peak flows. And as I said, for the most common storms, the ones that occur frequently, the 2-year, the 5-year, there's zero discharge from the basin. So while we can't solve the floodplain problems downstream, we're definitely going to make an improvement. So there's a lot of stormwater management that's going on the property. And I think it'll be well when we're finished. It'll be a nice community. We do have a privacy fence, 6-foot stockade along the entire rear, as well as the buffer landscaping. So visually, it's going to look nice. It's going to be buffered from the residences, buffered from the railroad track, and we think it's going to be a nice addition to the community. If you have any questions about it, let us know. But I think we're in compliance. We reviewed the letters, and we feel that the comments are minor. They're all will comply, so we have no problem complying with the comments. There are some waivers. And I think the traffic engineer had no comments, so we should be okay with them. Yes?
Thank you, Mr. Fioravani. So the commission's aware we have requested 9 waivers. However, there is a modification we'd like to make to waiver number 2. We originally requested a 23 to 24 foot wide cart path and also no curbing. So what we're agreeing is that the cartway width would be 26 feet. The minimum right-of-way width would still be 40 feet, but that matches the surrounding community. And we will install curbs with depressions so that the water can infiltrate into the swale. Other than that, the other waivers remain the same, and I'd be more than happy to go through them and discuss each individual one. We do have a waiver letter dated November 1st, 2021 from Mr. Fioravanti with our requested waivers and the explanations. But again, like I said, I'd be more than happy to go through them individually if you'd like.
We have gone through the waivers for this meeting tonight back before we became present here to hear what you had to say. So we're quite familiar with them. And we were going to have a question on waiver number 2 that you had asked for concerning the cart width and the sidewalks and curbing. But now you've clarified that so that just to make sure that I'm correct, the cart width is going to be 26?
Correct?
And the curbing will be installed on the one side?
Correct.
Okay, and that was our concern, and you've essentially resolved part of that concern, so thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any questions from the commission?
I have a question. So you have really good infiltration rates in that basin. Will you be able to, I don't know, guarantee, or would you be able to make sure that that's not disturbed land when you're doing that, so it doesn't get compacted or
Yes,
does anything to jeopardize
absolutely.
the integrity of that? Because you guys have a really good flow rate there. And
We do, yeah. What we do with this, and it's typically required and looked for by the engineers as well as the state when we go for NPDES permit. But during construction, we will rope off that area and make sure that it's not, concrete trucks aren't riding over it and it's not compacted. And then we will do, some soil amendment if we need to guarantee the perk rate. When the time comes and we're under construction, we can do in situ perk testing just to make sure that we still have the rate. And in the event that it was, soiled, we can always do soil amendment and mix compost in with the soil. But we will be protecting it. And also there'll be a maintenance, and anytime you have an infiltration basin like this, there's always a maintenance schedule that has to be followed by the association. So every year they're cleaning debris and they're making sure that the plant growth is adequate and that there's no erosion problems, So the basin will be looked at every year, and there'll be reports and monitoring that'll have to go on. That's part of the NPDES permit that they'll have to agree to. So,
thank you.
thank you.
I have a question as well. So this will definitely be an HOA?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. And the road, Woodland Avenue, that's the paper road?
Yes.
And what is on that road right now?
Right now, it's unimproved. It's just vacant land.
Vacant land?
Mhm.
I have
Okay.
another question.
Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation as well.
Sure, thank you.
Just in regards to the Pannoni letter, their review comments, is that also what will comply with you?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
No further questions from the commission. Do we have any questions from the township or our engineer?
No, I think it was a good presentation. I think everything got covered.
And do we have any questions or comments from anybody in the audience tonight?
Yeah, I got a couple of questions. I live on Magnolia.
You have to come up to the microphone, please.
And you can also state your name, please.
My name is Mike Schaefer, and I live on Magnolia, and I guess from the right-hand side, it'd be the third one in. So I back up to that particular property. Concerned about the sewer. Sewer has been flushed many a times already. I mean, you go out there and it's up to the top. I guess the sewer line's pretty low, but many a times it's already been flushed. So I'm worried about demand on what's already a problem. Number 2, traffic. It's a very busy street, even though it's a dead end. A lot of children on the street. There's people parked on the street as it is now, so it's a very congested street. The other thing I was going to say is, I know they're proposing putting a curb up on the one street, but if they're making a development and it is an association, why aren't they going to upgrade the whole thing with curbing for the new housing? I mean, there could be handicapped people back there, stuff like that. Why wouldn't there be curbing for access to the train station? Sidewalks, I'm sorry. That's pretty much.
Just want to clarify, you're asking whether sidewalk could or should be run down to the train station from this development?
Well, that could be proposed, yes, but I don't see, are they putting sidewalks in around
So
the street that they're proposing to build on the other side?
right. So the way that.
I mean, if you're gonna upgrade, why wouldn't they upgrade, and if they're gonna make it, you know, a nice area, and it's an association fee, or associated type thing?
Right. It's not within the township's ability to require a developer to construct an off-site improvement such as sidewalks beyond the limits of their property. What you heard tonight.
I'm not asking them to do me sidewalks. I don't.
Well, I'm saying to the train station, so that
More or less sidewalks on what they're building.
correct, yeah. So the ordinance does provide a provision to allow or require sidewalks to be installed within the, for instance, newly created roadway extensions that are proposed. And what they asked for tonight is that to be waived, that the sidewalk not be required to be installed. It's certainly something the Planning Commission could believe should be required. I will say, in the time I've spent with the Planning Commission, with the council, with numerous other projects in Croydon, there is not much or any sidewalk anywhere. And so it's been a tradition, at
I've
least.
seen sidewalk and new improvements in Croydon. It's there.
There are segments of sidewalk scattered throughout Croydon. The current practice has been not to require it to be installed. I'm just giving you an overview of
I
other.
understand. This is my first meeting, you know. I'm
Sure,
just
no, and
pointing out things, and main thing is traffic and sewer is what really.
We always welcome you to come in. We're glad you're here, and we're here to have these conversations with people in the community and who live nearby. So, you know, it's 14 new homes. It doesn't provide connection from two destinations. It's not connecting links. It would just be to serve the 14 homes. It's a private road. It won't be a public road. It won't be a public dedicated road. The townships, I will say, if they were dedicating the road and the township were willing to accept dedication of the road, we could, I personally would at least have a different recommendation. Maybe we would be looking at requiring sidewalk to be put in. But the fact that it's remaining privately owned, it's not going to be a public sidewalk. People aren't going to be able to walk down this roadway. It's going to be a private homeowners association. Okay. So I think those are, at least leading up to this meeting, those have been the discussions and arguments and
impervious surface also.
points we made. And yeah, you know, more impervious causes more runoff.
One
you know.
more question, like, how much notice do they give to these meetings? Because, you know, there was a lot of chatter in the neighborhood back before COVID hit. And a lot of people were planning on being here. And as you can see, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so I'm a little disturbed at that.
Sure, and I can offer some
I
insight.
feel like, you know, the neighborhood got the short stick here.
So when they applied for if they were to apply for any variances, that's when the municipality is required to send notifications to residents
Because when
within.
this first started, there was postage. I haven't seen nothing.
The township.
I live on Magnolia. Where
I don't know if you guys did any public outreach. I don't recall whether or not that was something that was done, but sometimes voluntarily developers will notify folks in the neighborhood. But there is no requirement for the municipality to send out any notifications. The notification, frankly, is the township does post on their Facebook page and website.
Website, yeah.
The agenda.
Every third Wednesday is planning.
But other than that, there are no other statutory requirements for notifying neighbors. But variances, you know, things that aren't by right. This is a project that does meet the requirements of the ordinance with the exception of the waivers we talked about. But if it did require any zoning relief for things that weren't customarily normally allowed for and accommodated in the ordinances, then you would have gotten, especially in the proximity where you live.
I had gotten something way back in the beginning of all this. I mean, did you guys
He
do
said
any
it was-
paperwork?
I don't-
Way back in the beginning when this all
remember if
started?
there was any.
It was a notice of something, I know it was.
If I could just interject, sir, and if you want to leave your name and phone number and address, that'd be great. This is just one step in the process, so we still have to go to the council to review and approve this project. So there'll be additional opportunities for input from the neighbors.
I believe before COVID, there may have been some conceptual sketches about townhouses, you know, concept-type layouts, which would have involved zoning, so perhaps it was that.
Well,
Well, the last
was
I
to the
heard
township.
before COVID hit is it went from no townhomes to 10, and now we're at 14.
Yeah, I'm not
I
sure
mean,
about
that
that,
was
but
just, you know,
there was a
hearsay or
concept,
whatever, but-
right, there was a concept with townhouses, maybe that's what you were
I mean, I'm just
referring to.
wondering if we're squeezing a little too much in an area that, you know, there's a lot of wildlife in there.
Yeah, I mean,
There's-
Mr. Gallagher might be able
There's a lot
to.
of wildlife in there.
Go ahead, Alan.
Yeah, so you understand, as I stated at the beginning, it's zoned R3, which is a minimum lot requirement of 5,000 square feet. The lots that we're proposing, with the exception of lot number 1, the other 13 lots, are all 6,500 square feet plus in size. So this is not a situation where the developer's trying to maximize the area by creating lots that only meet the minimum required lot size.
And even Lot 1 is larger than 5,000.
Oh, yes.
But there were sketches shown of townhouses that the township looked at and said they're not interested in changing the allowable density on this site, and hence why the plan that's been presented tonight is a traditional by right, what the ordinance allows for without any added exception to the number of units.
Thank you for your time.
Introduce myself. Is this one? I'm Mark.
Wait,
I'd like to talk about the sewer too, just quickly. I'll just say that the township's going around the entire township right now with camera, and they're videoing the sewer lines everywhere, and they're very proactive in repairing and replacing and upgrading sewer lines. So in light of your comments, we'll at least bring to the sewer engineer's attention your concern and see to it that perhaps even in conjunction with this project that there won't be any sewer backups or issues or capacity problems whatsoever. Yeah, thank you.
wait, in case I have questions. Were there any other questions? You can, go ahead, you can address.
Good evening. Mark Gallagher, Gallagher Realty Group. To help you with your question in regards to, originally, yes, we had looked at, can nobody hear me? Originally, we had came to, we had a plan with 34 townhouses, is what it was, okay? And I sat with the township and took a look at it, and we had a lot of opposition from the neighborhood, a ton of opposition. We had a billboard, we had a Facebook page, we had a big public outroar. So I went back to the drawing board with my engineer and my attorney and my partner, and said, well, what can we do to, you know, appease the neighborhood as well? And by right, instead of doing 34 units, we can go and build single homes instead of townhouses. So that's what we switched the whole plan to do. I would have loved to build the 34 townhouses, trust me, all day long, okay? But when you have, you know, a neighborhood, and I care, my business is here. I've been doing houses, Tommy's been doing houses in Croydon and Bucks County, and our goal is one home at a time to make, you know, Bristol a better place, and that's what we're doing, okay? So I think you'll be very happy with what we're doing, and if you have questions, you've met Alan and my engineer, we can help you with anything you're doing. And there's more meetings, so, and they're all public.
You said there's going to be a privacy fence like along my property line?
Well, I was gonna wanna talk to the neighbors and say, you know, vinyl, wood, you know, what would comply and work better, what would make everybody happy. I've only spoken to one person on your street so far, which is the woman that lives all the way down here, and where's she at? I think she's right out here, up here. And she's excited about what we were doing. She thought it was good, so. I mean, it's an improvement. It's not gonna hurt anything. It's only gonna better it. And the concern I could see a lot of the neighbors having would be water and flooding or whatever. It's only gonna take the water situation that's there and improve it, okay? Because of what we're putting in a stormwater management system. There is none, okay? So it's only gonna make it better. I guess that's it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
So with that being said, do we have any other questions or comments
I'll make a motion to recommend to council the subdivision of Gallagher Realty, 43 Arabian Way, Holland, PA, requesting preliminary subdivision approval in order to construct 14 single-family dwellings on the property located at Magnolia and Woodland Aves, Croydon, tax parcel number 5-008-144-001, and number 5-008-596, in an R3 residential zone district of Bristol Township, with the modifications made on waiver number 2 with the 26-foot cartway width and the curbing on one side.
And we had asked for final also, so I don't know if that was considered.
It is because you asked for that to be a waiver, so we are recommending that
Okay.
waiver.
Oh, yes,
Thank
my
you.
apologies.
Prelim.
Thank you.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second. All those in favor, aye.
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 Thank you. Project gentlemen.
Yep, thank you very much. Thanks for your
Thank you.
time.
I'd just like to make one comment. We can hear you. The only reason that we ask everybody to talk into the microphone is so our viewing audience can hear the conversations that are being taken place.
With that being said, we don't have anything else on our agenda tonight, but we would, on behalf of the township and this commission, like to wish everyone in our viewing audience a very Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, a Happy New Year, and we really wish you a happy, healthy, and of course, wealthy 2022.
Thank you.
So moved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. And with that being said, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Been moved. Second.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.